Hi and welcome to the first Ask for Ariel podcast or video if you are watching on YouTube. Hi, I'm Verity. I am the founder of the Ask for Ariel campaign. Now the Ask for Ariel campaign is based on, very loosely, on the Ask for Angela campaign, which is where if you're in a bar or a restaurant and you're with a date or things aren't quite working out as they should, you feel uncomfortable, you go to the bar, you ask for Angela, they know you need to get out of that situation, no questions asked, just get you out of there. Ask for Ariel is kind of based on the same campaign. So I am a victim and survivor of sexual abuse. Now I was sexually abused from the age of 6, 7, I say 6, 7 because I don't know exactly what age it started, but it was about 6 or 7 till the age of 17. I only managed to come forward at the age of 17. Now throughout the podcast, throughout the videos, I'll be explaining why it takes victims so long to come forward. I know there's a lot of stuff with Russell Brand going on at the moment and everyone's going, oh, why have they only just come out now? And there are so many reasons, and I'm really hoping that I can shine a light on those reasons. If you are a victim or survivor, please head on over to the Ask for Ariel Instagram or listen to this podcast, watch the videos. I really hope that I can give you some support. So Ask for Ariel is if a child is being sexually abused, so that the statistics are between 1 and 2 in 20. So that is basically 1 to 2 children in roughly every average size class. So we can't pretend this isn't happening. We can't pretend this doesn't happen here, or we can't go, well, there's no children that are showing any signs of being abused. I showed absolutely zero signs. I got A's and B's, I was a model student, I didn't get one detention, I wasn't going out and being naughty, I wasn't, or I wasn't going into school, without food, or I wasn't going into school, not very well dressed. I just looked like an absolutely normal child that raised absolutely no suspicion. Now, if that is me, you know that there are so many other children that are the same. We can't rely purely on looking out for those signs. Now at the moment we have, if a child wants to come forward, if you head on over to the NSPCC's website, there is a section on how to come forward and it's very good. However, when you're in that moment, it's almost like you've got a few seconds. It's almost like you've only got a few minutes to tell somebody what's going on, and in that time you can't get your thoughts together, you can't verbalise it. Now I've spoken to so many other victims and it's exactly the same. It's why we don't come forward after the first time, the second time, because the 10th time could be the 100th time, because it's your secret as much as theirs. Now I was never told, don't tell anyone. In films, they say, oh, it's just our little secret. None of that was said. It was just implied. Now, it happened when I was 6, and again 6, 7, and I remember the first time he touched me. I remember going into the bathroom and looking in the mirror and doing this face, and I wasn't upset, I wasn't sad, I wasn't, oh my God, oh. I smiled, but it was more like out of curiosity, and for years and years and years, I beat myself up over that reaction. I used to think, what kind of child gets abused by their step-parent and when after it happens goes and smiles? But then I realised it's the only time I can remember being really truly innocent. I didn't really know what he'd done. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know I was in danger. All I knew was, this is different. Almost like a drama, almost, oh, this is exciting, this is different, what is this? And because of that reaction, and because I didn't tell anyone the first time, I felt I couldn't tell anyone the second time, or the third time, or the 100th time. So if I went through that, I'm not the only person who's gone through that. And this isn't talked about. Our first reactions aren't talked about. And children are always being told about stranger danger, and yes, I know it happens, of course it happens, but the real dangers are our mum's boyfriends, our step parents, our uncles, even our granddads, Even our biological dads. That really, really, really nice neighbour who, whenever you need a lift shopping, you know, the guy who will drop everything for you just to help you out. Him. Or one of the parents at school. Or someone in your church. Someone at your Weight Watchers meeting. Somebody who grooms your family and you trust them and you love them and you think you know them. They're the ones who are perpetrating this abuse. Obviously not all of them, obviously, but the truth is we don't know. They don't all have flashbacks. They don't all have the big dark black rimmed sunglasses and sitting there like outside schools rubbing their knees. They are the person you see in the street and now the people that you love. And this is why we can't look out for it. We can't look at someone and go, oh, I think they're a pedo, because we can't. They're too clever for that. So the power has to lie in the victim. Now, there is so much shame around sexual abuse, and I don't know why. I mean, I know that I felt it. I know that I still feel it. So it's like I have these two reactions. The first reaction is the shame reaction. So that's the learnt one. And then there's my second reaction. That second reaction is my learnt reaction. That is the reaction that I choose. So we all have a choice, and I want everybody's choice to be how they change, how they view sexual abuse. If someone says to you sexual abuse and you feel that feeling in your belly, you know, the thing is, oh my God, that's really awkward, I don't want to talk about it, acknowledge it, it's fine. And then make the decision of, okay, this feels really uncomfortable, but this isn't helping anyone. So I'm going to be an ally. I'm going to save children in my own little way, and I'm going to acknowledge that feeling, but I'm going to choose to have a different reaction of, okay, let's talk about it. I want to listen. So Ask for Ariel is a way for children to tell adults, people that they trust, friends, they are being sexually abused without having to say the words. So the amount of times that I wanted to come forward, like I said, I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't want anyone to know that I was being abused. I didn't want anyone to know what was happening to me. I thought I'd get in trouble as I got older. You know, when I got kind of teenager years, kind of I thought, God, everyone's going to think I'm actually having an affair with my stepdad. Like, that's how my brain started to process it and work it out. And obviously that's not the truth. But when you're in such an internalized space, when it is just this inward conversation between you and your brain, you don't have any other output, and it's not spoken about anywhere else. It's not spoken about in schools. It's not normal conversation. You might hear an extreme thing on the news, but there is just no talk. So all you've got to rely on is your mouth and your brain, and it's just you two together. You're like these two separate things, just you two together, nobody else. So you convince yourself to stay silent because it's safer. So our brains, they are made to keep us safe, not happy. So, you know, like when you hear stories of people who are in abusive relationships, like, why didn't they get out sooner? Oh my God, I would have just left him. I would have done this. Yes, you might have done. However, in that relationship, you haven't died. In that relationship, you're alive. Your brain is looking at it black and white. Yes, it might not be safe, but the unknown option of leaving, the unknown option of telling someone doesn't feel as safe as where you are now. And that is the process your brain makes. Your brain is there to keep you safe, not happy. This is why so many victims of sexual abuse do not say anything, do not come forward, because they're scared of the repercussions. My abuser, he never said that he'd hurt my family, but it was implied. So if any time I kind of started to fight back, or make it really difficult for him to do anything, he would take it out on the rest of my family. He would be verbally abusive, he'd drink a lot, he'd be physically abusive, he'd be threatening. So I felt it was my responsibility to keep the family happy and on an even keel. I didn't know that from other aspects, which I will get into it, from different sides of kind of a family dynamics and friends and people you think would have known something. I will get into that in another episode. But that is why we don't say anything. There were, however, these little snippets, these little moments where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I have to tell somebody. I have to get it out. I have to tell somebody. And I used to keep this little diary, and I used to write it all in my diary and then hide it in this. You get those little, they're like teddy things, but they're soft. It's almost like you'd put a hot water bottle in it, but instead you kind of put pajamas for sleepovers. Not that I went on any, but for sleepovers. And I had this little diary, and I used to keep a journal of everything just in case I came forward and I had proof. But then I'd get so panicked that someone would find it, I'd rip it all up again. So that's how hard it is, those moments that you want to tell someone and you can't. In those moments, that's when Ariel should be used, the code word. So, oh look, it's my cat. Say hello to my cat. This is Pennywise the cat. She is our, sorry guys, on podcast you can't see this, but she is the most gorgeous little black cat. And we rescued her a week ago now, yeah, and she's called Pennywise, and she's beautiful. We have 4 cats now, so I'm one step closer to a crazy cat lady. So yeah, sorry. So a child is to ask for Ariel in those snippets, in those moments where you feel you don't care what the consequences are, you just cannot do this anymore. So when I had those moments, I'd say they're probably about 5-10 moments over the space of 10-11 years. 10-11 years, 6-7, yeah, over 10-11 years. There are probably about 5-10 of those moments that I can kind of remember. But then, one, who do I tell? So I felt like I couldn't tell my mum. Me and my mum were so close. I was very, very poorly as a child. Again, I will go into that in another episode about the correlation of sexual abuse and the toll it takes on your body, and all sorts of issues that I had, and I know many other survivors have. But I was in hospital a lot, and my mum was the main caregiver, so I had a lot of one-on-one time with my mum. I was also the youngest, so just a lot of one-on-one time with my mum, and I love my mum, and I don't hold anything against my mum. My mum was in her own hell with this man, but I couldn't tell her because I was scared she'd think that I was having an affair with her husband. So teachers, couldn't tell teachers because it's like, there's that line, like you can't tell a teacher about sex, you can't say anything about sex, even though sexual abuse isn't actually about sex, it's about power and control. Still, you feel dirty, and you don't want anyone to look at you any different. You don't want anybody to think you are damaged goods, which I hate, by the way. You don't want anybody to think any less of you as a person. I couldn't tell my friends because I'd thought that they'd think I was really fucking weird. And even it's taken me a long time to actually to say openly what's happened to me and let the other person have their reaction rather than trying to monitor their reaction with a joke. So like even now if as an adult I'm still working through that, and I think I probably will always be working through that, but as I'm working through that, how can you expect a child to say something and not care of what anyone else is going to think of them, especially at a very young age, and especially teenagers? That is when our primal instinct is to fit in, because way back when we were all in caves, if you weren't in with your village and you were on the outside, it's certain death. We still have that in our brains, that we must kind of fit in, we must find our tribe, we must stay in that group for survival, and we still have that. So how can you tell any of these people? How can you tell your neighbour? How can you tell your auntie? How can you tell your uncle? How can you tell your nan? How can you tell your friends? How can you tell your teachers? Even though there are things that are there that people say, you can come talk to us. How do you say those words? How do you say, because you don't really say I'm being sexually abused. It's my abuser, my stepdad is touching me. Okay, well, how is he touching me? Oh, and you know, you can't verbalise it, because actually, in coming forward, that's probably the first time ever through the whole of your abuse that you would have ever had to say the words. And there would have been no pre-planning, because you can't pre-plan it, because your brain won't let you. Like I said, you have that snapshot, you have that moment to come forward, and if you don't come forward in that moment, the moment's lost. So Ariel, what if there was a code word that everybody knew? Teachers, family, friends, everybody knew Ariel. Say if I had one of those days where like, I can't do this anymore, I physically, mentally, I can't do this anymore, it's too much, I can't pretend to be happy and bubbly and very, when actually deep inside, I want to die and I can't do this anymore. What if in one of my maths books or English book, whatever, I wrote I need Ariel and handed it into my teacher? She would see that and know what to do in this ideal world that I am creating. Or what if, you're a bit quiet, or maybe someone notices you're not feeling great and, and goes, is everything all right? You just look and just go, Ariel. And, knows what that means. Obviously, there are steps afterwards that everybody will need to know what to take, but it is actually no different if someone fully disclosing. So if I went to my nan and fully disclosed and said, this is happening to me, she still would be like, what do I do next? And it would be the same as if I said, Ariel. It will be the, I know what that means, but what do I do next? So I will take you through what to do next. On the Instagram, there is a lot of what to do when somebody says Ariel to you. I have safety hubs set up. There's so much I can go into, which I'm going to, but I just kind of want to focus right now on why I asked for Ariel is here and the basis of it. So with each kind of different episode, I will be talking about the safety hubs that are set up, how much you talk in schools, in youth centres, in, scouts, beavers, anything where there are children, anywhere there are young adults, anywhere, dentists, doctors. I want everybody to know what Ask for Ariel is about, because it is something so simple, but I think it can change so many lives, and it can change how we see sexual abuse, because we have to. It's an epidemic. You don't just have the sexual abuse and you come forward and then it's, okay, it's over. Like for me, I learnt to function whilst being sexually abused. I managed to, basically it's borderline personality disorder, I managed to have different faces and different masks, and I learnt to almost mimic the person that I was with to be the person they wanted me to be, so I was likeable. Because when you are being sexually abused, you do not like yourself. You really don't, and all you want is to be liked, and you want to be loved, and you want to be appreciated, and you feel the only way to do that is be the person standing in front of you wants you to be. And that takes a lifetime to build up, and then another lifetime to break down and find out who you are. The mental health impact is, I can't even put it into words. It affects you every single day. Every single day. I think I'm a very strong person. I know that I have come out the other end, and I'm very, very privileged to be where I am today. I'm very, very privileged to be able to talk about it how I do today. I'm really sorry, I think my cats are fighting. Yes. They're not really fighting, they're just having a little meh. It's like when I get into something serious, the cat's like, no, this is too serious, let's just break this up for a second. But yeah, the mental impact, health impact is massive. And then the amount that costs in the long run, or, especially in the UK on the NHS, is massive. What if we can get it at the beginning? What if we can get children to come forward the first time it happens, before it's done a massive irreversible toll on their brains? Because actually it's not always the abuse that gets you. Like, I have flashbacks, and and when I think about it, it makes me cringe on the inside, and it makes me very tired, and it drains me. But actually, hold on a minute, I'm gonna get my cat, hold on. Hi, back again. This is the other cat. This is Cobweb. So yes, what if we can get it on the first go? What if the first time a child is abused and that happens, they go, this is what Ariel's for. and they say it right away. What if abusers were afraid? What if abusers were afraid that it was that simple for those that they abused to come forward? That's my dream. My dream is that we're not going to end. Well, no, my dream would be that all sexual abuse will end. But also we have to be very realistic. Sexual abuse is going to always happen, but we need to minimise the impact, and we need to minimise it as much as we can. Now, another issue with obviously disclosing and coming forward is getting your abuser, getting justice, getting your abuser done, banged to rights. I took my abuser to court. Again, I'll do another podcast on this. I'm kind of just gone the outline and the basis and stuff. Sorry, I'm really hot. I took my abuser to court, and it was horrific and it was horrendous, but I did it. I dissociated through most of it, but I did it. And he was found guilty on all charges, and he was sentenced to 8 years in prison, which in our UK legal system is actually really bloody good, because ours is absolutely atrocious. Like, if you compare it to like America, what people get for things, ours is an absolute joke. Obviously he didn't serve 8 years. I wasn't actually told when he came out. I just found out through kind of family that he was out, which is another whole entire horrible thing. But getting it to court is so... Hold on a minute. Let me get my cat again. I'm really sorry. I'm not actually going to edit any of this, because I kind of want to be real and normal. And if I keep going through and editing, I think my, perfectionism is going to just come out. So I'd rather just keep this all in, and you can just hear my crazy bambling life. Yeah, this is Cobweb. Say hi. And again, anyone listening on the podcast can't actually see little Cobweb, but she's so cute. She's a tiny little tortoiseshell cat, and we rehomed her about 3 weeks ago. So yeah, I'm a little crazy cat. Oh, she's not happy, are you? No, are you tired? You hear that? So I just picked the worst time to record this, didn't I? So he didn't do 8 years. I got told that it'd come out early, which is awful to not actually be told properly. So many problems with abuse cases getting to court is, one, there's very, very little evidence. It's all done in the shadows. Number 2, it's your word against theirs. And number 3 is how the statement is taken. So it could be that someone's put words in your mouth, or you can have been led. There could be so many things. With Ariel, if a child says, I need Ariel, there's safeguarding processes and protocols in place. But what if the people from the police force, what if those who their job is to speak to sexual abuse victims get in and they interview the right way? So it's not compromised. That interview isn't compromised. It is, this child has asked for Ariel. They've seen the correct people straight away. Which means when it comes to court, that first initial statement can't be admissible. Because let's say I told my auntie or my uncle or whatever, and they went, well, did he do this? Did he do this? And I said, yes. Oh yeah, and did you do this? Oh, what, did he do this as well? They ask those questions and lead me, and then I answer that. It can be that they've put those in my mouth. They've put that idea in my head. So my initial statement is unadmissible in court. I really want Ask for Ariel to go worldwide. I want to be there for victims. I want to be there for survivors. I want to be there for people who aren't victims or survivors yet but are going to be. I want to make sure that there is no shame. I want to remove the shame around sexual abuse. Why the fuck should anybody feel shame that somebody used and abused their power against you? Why? I want to put the shame and the blame on the perpetrators. That is it. I want this world to be able to talk about sexual abuse without shame, without weirdness, without any pre-misconceptions. I want it talked about everywhere, because we don't talk about it in front of our children, because Children are the ones who need to know. Paedophiles like children. Children are the ones who need to know how to protect themselves, and we need to do this right. We need to do this age appropriately, but I can't do this on my own. So this Ask for Ariel podcast and these Ask for Ariel channel that you are watching on YouTube right now, each week I'm going to be taking a subject. If there's anything you want me to talk about, please put in the comments, or if I'm going to put on the show notes on Spotify or whatever it is called. What is it? What do you say? I'm new to this podcasting. In the show notes, I will give you the email of where you can write in anything you want me to talk about. So things that I really want to touch on are just everyday life with being a survivor. How one day I could be doing great and fantastic, and another day just creeps up on me. I want to be talking about statistics. I want to hear your stories as well. I would love to do interviews with other survivors and victims. You could be anonymous if you want, absolutely fine, absolutely all right. I just want to show the world that us victims and us survivors, we're not weird, or we're not broken, or maybe a little bit broken, but a little bit cracks let the light in, didn't they? But we're here and we're strong, and there is a way out. And I also want future victims, future survivors know that we are here. I want those who are still going through it. If you stumble across this video, if you're a teenager and you are going through it, and you are stumbling across this video and you see it, I want you to know that you're not alone. You're really not. I know you feel like you are so alone, and you're not. There is an army of us here for you. If you're a parent and you found out that your child has been abused, we're here for you too. You know, the web doesn't just affect the abused directly. It spans out across family, across friends. Nobody really is left unscathed from it. I know I really want to do kind of like a talk with my mum, because my mum was going through her own stuff, and it was really hard to kind of talk to my mum about it, because I know how guilty she felt, even though she didn't know, she absolutely didn't know, but how guilty she felt. And then I felt I couldn't really mention it because I didn't want her to feel bad, and actually we had a really good discussion about it probably a few months ago now, and it's just, why didn't we do this sooner? And this is what I want. I just want everybody to be able to speak their truth, and the line being, why didn't I do this sooner? So Ask for Ariel on YouTube, so please like and subscribe. I know this first video is probably very, very messy, because I have my cats. It's the first one I've ever recorded. I've been putting off recording it for ages because of my absolute pure perfectionism. I think everything's got to be perfect, the lighting's got to be perfect, I've got to have a script, I've got to say this, got to get the words out, got to not dribble, which I do all the time. In the end, it just wasn't getting done, so I'm just like, do you know what, these are my videos, this is me, I'm unfiltered, this is my goal, and I need everyone's help. So please like, subscribe, share, send in an inbox to a friend who you think needs to see this. You can email me at askforariel@outlook.com. If you need to know of anywhere for support, if you are going through anything, you can go to askforariel.uk. that's the web page. It's very pink, very purple, because I didn't really know what I was doing on WordPress, but you can click on the menu and there is a whole list of places where you can go for support if you need it. I'm here. Please feel free to email me, and again, please send a comment of anything you want me to talk about. Let me know what you think about this video. Even if it's awful, I'm open up to, I've got tough skin now, I'm open up to criticism. If you are listening to Spotify, everything that I've just said, well, not Spotify, I keep saying Spotify because you might be listening to it on Apple Podcast. If you're listening to the podcast, then on the show notes I will put again the Ask for Ariel webpage. You can find us on Instagram at Ask for Ariel. We're on TikTok. It's actually my TikTok, but it's all in there. So that's Miss Munster 85. Again, you can also email askforariel@outlook.co.uk. Askforariel@outlook.com. Bloody hell, my brain. See, look, this is another side effect with PTSD. Askforariel@outlook.com. You can also please, if you like this, please do give a rating, because I know it helps boost kind of people who get to listen to the podcast. If you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please, again, email me, askforariel@outlook.com, and I'd love to have a chat with you. Again, I hope this didn't sound too rough around the edges. I'm going to keep everything in, because if I start editing and mucking around, I'm just going to edit it down to the most tiniest little breath, and it's just going to be too time consuming, and I'll never get one out every week. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. And remember, just because you've been through some really tough stuff doesn't mean you're broken. We're all a little bit broken. We're all a little bit going through stuff, but we're all here for each other. You've got this. Everyone, take care, and please, if you think someone needs to see this, you think somebody needs to know about Ask for Ariel, or if you're concerned about a child, please share, get help.